Hello everybody and welcome to another review at Drones Visual. Today I bring you a very special surprise, the first video of the FlySky FS-iSix-S. I would like to thank Banggood for giving me a chance to take a look at this prototype. As you have already seen, this is a great step in terms of design for FlySky. The FS-iSix-S features a clean, simple and elegant design with round corners, quality materials and modern look. It certainly reminds me of DJI's transmitters, which have a similar shape and color selection. But of course, the looks are not the most important aspects of a transmitter, but rather its functionality. Among the functions of the FlySky FS-iSix-S, we find bidirectional communications, which according to FlySky will permit this transmitter to receive and send data such as temperature, altitude, provided the right sensors are in place, of course. And then this beauty will also support eyeballs, allowing you to assign multiple servos to one channel. Multi-channel hopper frequency, we have heard about this before, which is supposed to decrease interference from transmitter by hopping between frequencies. Omni-directional gain antenna, which according to FlySky, this is a higher gain antenna that will cut down interference while using less power. Then it also includes unique ID recognition system, which is basically once the transmitter and the receiver have been paired, they will only talk to each other and don't allow interference from other transmitters. FlySky claims that this transmitter will barely consume power. That's a good thing considering that it comes with AA batteries instead of LiPos, so it's a good thing that it's not spending much power. Now let's explore a little bit the new design and then proceed to cover the menus. Here in the front section of the transmitter we will see the power button, or I should rather say the power buttons, because there are two in total. They have a nice and round design and feel very comfortable to press. In order to power the transmitter, you will need to press them both simultaneously for a few seconds, and I will show you that with more details a little bit later in the video. And then we have the screen here, and this is a really nice screen actually, and it's nice because it is a touch screen, very comfortable to navigate between the menus, and then again I will show you that also a little bit later in the video. Both sticks are over here are spring loaded. They feel very sturdy and nice to move. I'm really looking forward to try them out on the field, but so far they seem really good. Then if we take a look at the crowns, they are identical to the crowns of the older FlySky FS-i6, made of aluminum I think, and with a very nice grip, so you won't be disappointed. I will show you now, maybe let me zoom a little bit in here so you can take a better look at the crowns, which have like a red tint. Then if we move to the upper left section, we will find two switches. The first switch, labeled SWA, is, as you can see, a 2-position switch. Then the next switch to the right is labeled SWB and is a 3-position switch. They're both located on very accessible places, just like in the previous transmitter, the FlySky FS-i6. Then if we move to the upper section, we will see a sort of a dialer wheel that could help us control movements of a gimbal. The wheel will always return to its initial position once we release it, and it seems to be made of some sort of metal like aluminum as well. Then on the right side of the transmitter we have another two switches. The first one is a 2-position switch labeled SWD, and the following switch to the left is labeled SWC and is a 3-position switch. I repeat, they're located in a good position, easy to access, just like in the good old FS-i6 that many of you have probably used. Then on the right upper corner there's another dial, and these dials are kind of the replacement of the knobs that were present in the front section of the FlySky FS-i6. I will later put them both side by side so you can see what I mean. The dial, just like the other one, will just return to its initial position once we release it. Let's hope the gimbals it controls won't do the same thing. Then on the rear section of the transmitter we find a well-made metallic handle that you can use when carrying the transmitter or holding it. It would have been better, although better to have like some sort of rubber cover on this handle. These buttons located on the rear section of the transmitter, I guess it could be used to control the camera shutter or maybe switching between video and photo functions if those were available. I can deny I'm curious to explore how they actually function, but I will leave that for a future video. And then holding the transmitter feels super comfortable. The design can certainly be called ergonomic, and these rugged rubbery covers here on the sides will prevent the transmitter from slipping away from your hands if they're sweaty. Accessing the battery compartment is pretty easy. Just slide the rear cover down, but don't expect to find a LiPo. LiPo batteries over here. FlySky is still sticking to AA batteries in this transmitter. It would have been nice to see LiPos though. At the bottom of the transmitter we will see a PS2 port that can allow you to connect devices such as Bluetooth or GPS interfaces, followed by a USB port that I think you can connect the transmitter via USB to use it as a simulator, if you kind of like trying that in your computer. Another nice addition to the FlySky FS-iSix is the screen or smartphone holder over here. It comes with a practical anti-sliding rubber and then these little arms here that you can extend to place your smartphone, tablet or a screen. And then the upper part of the holder is also very nicely made, as it can be extended just by pressing one button. I'll show you here, you saw that. And then of course you can adjust the size by pushing it down depending on the size of the smartphone or tablet or maybe a screen that you're using. I think it's amazing that they're including this with the transmitter. It seems that they have learned well from what DJI is doing with their transmitters. Now if you don't need the smartphone holder, it can be easily removed by unscrewing this support unit here at the top and this bolt here at the bottom. Here's how the unit looks once it has been detached from the transmitter, and this is the bolt that I previously mentioned. After I removed the holder, I noticed something very funny. It was the fact that FlySky looks a bit like a friendly robot. You have like the mouth, and then the cheeks, the eyes, the nose, and then the switches here, they look like hair, and then that sensor, well, the whole looks like a sensor. I don't know if you can see the resemblance. As I mentioned to you before, to power the transmitter, it is not enough to press one of the power buttons. We must press both buttons at the same time for a few seconds in order for it to work. There are other transmitters like the Turnigy that use this system maybe to prevent us from accidentally powering on or off the transmitter. So as soon as the transmitter is powered, we're greeted with a beeping sound on the main menu. If you didn't know or didn't hear before, this transmitter has a touch screen, making navigation super easy. So let's begin exploring the adjustment menu here at the bottom. And then the first option that we can see over here, reverse. In here you can basically reverse any channel you want. You can easily select the channel you wish to reverse it and then do it. Then here you can set up your endpoints that will determine the distance that your servo will travel. You can easily scroll down to access the channels you wish to adjust. Very responsive screen, actually feels really like candy. Really nice screen. Then if we continue, we can here set up all of the aux channels. Whether you need a gimbal control or switch between flying modes or stuff like that, you can set it up there. Then the subtrim. You can adjust the center point of your channels there, and again the screen feels really nice. Let me show you here once more so you can get a better feel of it. Then if we continue looking here, let's keep the brightness. Let's go immediately to the mix, and if you choose to activate the option, you'll greet it with a group of other options here. Really handy if you're flying helicopters and things like that. Mixing two channels there. Then the failsafe. Basically the failsafe will dictate how your aircraft behaves once it has lost contact with the transmitter, and then you will use this option here if you need to bind the receiver, which I will show you a little bit later. Here you can also select the output modes in case you're connecting your receiver in PWM or PPPM mode. Really easy to make a selection here. And then obviously you can change modes. You can select between modes 1, 2, 3 and 4. depending on your preferences. Let's continue here, and you have the factory reset, which I'm not interested in doing at this moment now. Then the firmware update or upgrade, which probably will require you to have this connected to your computer, and we'll do that maybe later in the next video. And then finally we have some information about the firmware version and when it was released, in this case November of 2015. I will check later whether there are any updates available. Then on the main interface we can still select other options like creating a custom flying modes that we can then assign to one or multiple switches. Also we have a timer option and we can set up that as well, and the voltage alarm for both transmitter and receiver. Once the receiver is connected, you will see that it shows up on the right upper corner of the screen. Scrolling to the right side, we will enter a screen that will display some information from different sensors. I will later connect the receiver, see what shows up on that screen, and then in this other screen we have all the channels, how they're performing, where they're reversed, and where they're going all the way, so you can check basically about your channels. Something I could not find was the model memory option, but I guess that this will be made available for the released version or through an update or something like that. I need to check about this and I'll let you know. This is the receiver, the FS-iA6B that comes included with the FlySky FS-i6S. I'm getting all confused with all these names. And it is a 6-channel receiver with support for iBus, and as you can see, you can connect also PPM on channel 1. Let me here show you now, contrast a little bit both transmitters and the older FlySky FS-i6 and the newer FlySky FS-i6S. They stand like yin and yang, black and white, and we can certainly see the big difference in terms of design. Although many of the switches still remain in the same position, so it won't be hard for you to make a transition if you have tried the other transmitter before. The next thing I would like to show you is how to bind the transmitter and the receiver. So let's go and do that. The first thing you need to do is to access the menu in the transmitter and go to where it says receiver binding and press that option. Once you have done that, we can move to the receiver. We'll start by connecting the power plug into any available channels in the receiver provisionally until the binding process is done. I will use this channel here, but you can use any port you want here on the receiver to power it on. And then next we will insert the binding plug in the binding port, which is labeled VVC or something like that. Once this is done, we can then proceed to power the receiver by connecting the battery. Once we do that, you'll then of course hear a beeping sound, one coming from the CC3D and the other one coming from the transmitter, and basically the binding process is done. Very simple and fast. Now if we move to the transmitter and take a look at the menu, let's press the binding option again and then see what happens. You see, it tells you basically to turn off the receiver first. Once we make sure that the binding process was completed successfully, we can then proceed to power off the receiver. Then after we have done that, we can then remove the binding plug and connect the power plug that will supply the receiver in the port where the binding plug was connected before. Okay, that's done. Let's test now without the binding plug whether the receiver and the transmitter are properly bound. We power the receiver and then we will power the transmitter, and we will hear again like a beeping sound. And let's take a look at the light in the in the receiver. Now in a moment I just powered the transmitter and you can see that the light just stopped blinking, so things seem to be okay now. To conclude, I would like to show you what happens if you try to let me show you this screen here. Now that we have the receiver connected, the table over here is being populated with some values, like you can see voltage and stuff. And now I would like to show you what happens when you try to power off the transmitter while the receiver is still connected. Basically, if you try to, it will tell you to to power off the receiver first, and that's good because we don't actually have any fail-safe or anything like that set up for we didn't set up that before. Well, this concludes my overview of the transmitter FlySky FS-i6S. So far things are looking very interesting. However, I still need to find about that model memory because that was something that I didn't see in the instructions or the transmitter itself. I'll certainly keep you updated with more information about this. If you found this overview interesting, please like my video. If you have any questions or you would like to correct any things that I might have said incorrectly, do not hesitate and drop me some comments below. I'll get back to you. And if you're interested in drones and would like to get the latest reviews and news directly from China, please subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you all in my next video, and I'm gonna apologize for my voice today. I can barely speak, so I thought I would not be able to complete this review, but well, guess what, I did it. So thank you for your patience, and hope you enjoyed.